Yeah. Can I just make a very fleeting comment? Actually, just before I do that, I've just been advised the cordon on Langdons Road in Papanui, now this is close to Papanui High School, the cordon has just been lifted in the last minute or two, so that is a very good sign for all of those students and no doubt fraught parents. The cordon on Langdons Road in Papanui has been lifted. We also understand that the big mall right there, Northlands Mall, that has been in lockdown all afternoon as well. So some promising movements there. Barry, with respect to this debate about white supremacists and so forth, I mean, I'm a proud Christchurch boy, but I know damn well there has always been an underbelly of white supremacism in this blessed city, and it's always left a very unsavoury taste in my mouth. For God's sake, we've had self-described white supremacists run for the mayoralty of the city.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's true, Mark. I mean, that is a very old view. I just find it, I was just going to say, I just find it strange that Jerry Brownlee has, sought to downplay that and take issue with Paul Buchanan's analysis. Well, no, like you, I mean, I know Christchurch relatively well, not nearly as well as you do because you've lived there for a number of years, but, being from the South Island, I knew it many years ago as having those undertones of white supremacy. I think it was interesting that Paul Buchanan believed that this man's name should be put out there because people who believed that maybe he was an innocent person going about his business, if his name was out there, they would be able to, I guess, lead police to certain aspects of this man's upbringing there. But the Prime Minister, and she was right when she pointed out that, of course, it's one of New Zealand's darkest days, and she said that some of those that were likely killed today will be immigrants or refugees. She said they've chosen to make New Zealand their home, and it is their home. They are us, she said, and she says the person who perpetrated the violence against us is not one of us, and they have no place in New Zealand. She wasn't referring to where this person came from, because I don't know whether she was aware of it at that stage.
Yeah.
But it's clearly not just one person. The police have now, as you've just announced, apprehended 4 people.
Yes. Barry, just to recap, for people who are just tuning in, maybe driving home around New Zealand, there are now 3 men, 1 woman in custody, according to the police commissioner. I was intrigued by his very carefully phrased comments as to the risk factor from here. Obviously, he describes it as a very grave, very serious situation, but there does seem to be a rising degree of confidence on the part of the police that those lockdowns can now be relaxed under strict police supervision to allow people to get home. That seems to be where we're headed now, right?
And it'll be interesting, the response of this committee, because they'll now have a lot of feed into it. This manifesto that I've just been talking about, the spy agencies will be discussing that, and no doubt there'll be some reflection on how they missed this underbelly in New Zealand. But the solutions will come, or the analysis will come later, but it's the response to what is an appalling situation in Christchurch. That is what we're looking for at the moment.
Very good. Thanks very much, Barry. Barry Soper, our political editor, 12 to 6. NewsTalkZB with Mike Yardley. It's 9 to 6 from the Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison. I'm horrified by the reports I'm following of the serious shooting in Christchurch, New Zealand. The situation is still unfolding, but our thoughts and prayers are with our Kiwi cousins. From one Prime Minister to another, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern spoke in New Plymouth about an hour ago. She has been en route to Wellington to meet with members of the GCSB, SIS, police and all the relevant ministers to get an update.
What I can say is that it is clear that this is one of New Zealand's darkest days. Clearly, what has happened here is an extraordinary and unprecedented act of violence. Many of those who will have been directly affected by this shooting may be migrants to New Zealand. They may even be refugees here. They have chosen to make New Zealand their home, and it is their home. They are us. The person who has perpetuated this violence against us is not. They have no place in New Zealand. There is no place in New Zealand for such acts of extreme and unprecedented violence, which it is clear this act was. For now, my thoughts, and I'm sure the thoughts of all New Zealanders, are with those who have been affected and also with their families. My thoughts also to those in Christchurch who are still dealing with an unfolding situation.
And that is Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. It is 7:06. I have just received another couple of advisories of schools that have ended the lockdown. So this is a promising sign that things do seem to be easing up for many people who have been essentially detained all afternoon. We'll keep tabs on that through the evening. It's now 6:30 to 6. NewsTalkZB.
News is directed.
NewsTalkZB 4 to 6 with Mike Yardley in for Larry tonight. We are live from Christchurch. Just a couple of quick things. We are receiving multiple reports of a huge armed offenders squad call-out in Dunedin. This has been unfolding, we believe, in the last hour. A massive amount of AOS officers in this call-out. Now, whether there is any relationship with the Christchurch situation, it's not up to me to provide any conjecture, but you can draw your own conclusions and surmise as you wish. But we will keep a close watch on that situation in Dunedin. Also, just in from the New Zealand Police, police can now confirm the lockdown of schools throughout Christchurch has been lifted. We would like to reassure members of the public that there is a large police presence in the city and the safety of the community is our priority. Just before we go to the news, I am aware that just through a quirky stroke of timing, there has been a massive armed offenders squad training exercise taking place in Christchurch this week, including today. So if there is any silver lining to a very dark day, the Garden City has had a massive amount of AOS officers in the city for this training exercise. We will keep you up to speed with developments as they come to hand with our special coverage, which continues after 6. Raylene has the news next at NewsTalkZB.
It's 6 o'clock. I'm